Hello and welcome to the Career Change Studio. This is the place to design and create a new working life so that you can live the way that you want and need in your next chapter. I'm Dana Stevens, certified career change coach, and I'm here to help you work out your next career move. I'm going to inspire you to think about this transition in brand new ways so that you can think differently about yourself and what's possible for you. You'll also learn how to build up your belief and self-confidence so that you can finally start taking action. This is about so much more than just getting another job. This is about changing the way you live your life for the better. Hello, how is your week going? So today I want to return to some myth busting. There are quite a few myths and misconceptions people have about changing careers. So across many weeks in this podcast, I'm going to try my best to tackle as many as possible. And the reason is because when you believe things that just aren't true, that are myths, it can keep you stuck. It can keep you in a job that just doesn't fit your life anymore and keep you in patterns that are making you unhappy. So back in episode 6 and 7, I bust the myths that changing careers mean that you have to start from scratch, and also that you're too old to change careers, and I explain why I don't even need to know your age to be able to say that that's not true. So after this, if you know that those are myths that you are believing as well, you can go back and listen to those episodes. But don't go anywhere just yet, because today we're tackling two very common myths. The first is the false idea that people have that the answer about what they're going to do next is going to just magically appear. And the second is this misconception that they should already know what to do next. So let's start with this false belief that so many people have that the answer will just magically appear, or it should just magically appear for them. Maybe you might be scrolling through LinkedIn hoping that the answer is just going to come to you, or you're suddenly going to be inspired and the answer is just going to pop up when you're just out on a walk one day. Quite often, people will tell me that they've been trying to work out what to do next for weeks, months, or even years, and they say, I thought I would know by now. And when we get into it, I discover that people are often imagining that there's going to be this eureka moment. Suddenly, inspiration will hit them like in a cartoon when a big light bulb appears above their head. You might even be thinking that you just need more time, and then this light bulb moment is definitely going to happen for you. And I've had clients who've told me that they've booked an extended holiday or went travelling or even took a sabbatical so that they could have that magical time, and suddenly this light bulb moment will happen for them. But the reality is that for the majority of us, it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't magically come out of the blue. Figuring out what you're going to do next in your career, in your life, isn't this one singular light bulb moment. It's a series of smaller decisions, investigations, realizations, until you've come up with some ideas. And then you've explored them all, and then the one that feels like it could be the kernel of something that feels right, that gets held tightly and nurtured and examines until it feels like the very right next thing for you, and then you start taking action to find out. You might have heard of like an entrepreneur who's had a light bulb moment. This is quite common in like popular culture, this eureka moment about a gap in the market, and then their business idea was born. And while this might happen sometimes for some entrepreneurs, it's still quite rare in business in general. And the reality is, for most people thinking of changing careers, they're not necessarily going to be starting a business. So they're not looking for this like gap in the market, as it were. There are so many other factors at play in people's lives that they want and need to consider. Most people are weighing up whether to take their skills into another industry, or whether they want to retrain and learn something new, or whether a sideways step makes more sense for them, or whether they want to go for a promotion. Decisions are based on you, what you want and what you need to change. And for most people, like I said, getting to that idea of what's going to work for you is a gradual and deliberate process of getting to know yourself, being honest, asking yourself the right questions so that you start to have some answers for yourself. And then using that knowledge as a base to interrogate your options, explore different things. A gradual process of eliminating, researching, prioritizing until you reach that smaller series of realizations and decisions. But here's the thing, I want you to know that this is good news. The issue with waiting around for this mythical light bulb moment is you can be wasting lots of time. Like I said earlier, I've worked with people who have wasted months, even years, waiting for this mythical moment. You can be telling yourself that you can't do anything yet because you don't know the answer, instead of getting to work to find it out. So please don't think that you can't get going on your career change journey. You can't start exploring things just because you haven't had that light bulb moment yet. Instead, you can decide right now, today, that you are going to spend your time and energy figuring out what feels like the right next move for you, based on you, your wants and needs at this stage of your life. And that's what I help my clients do. I provide them with a structured process to help them figure these things out. I know what you need to focus on to help you have the smaller realizations so that you can then become equipped to make those bigger decisions. And even if you're not imagining this dramatic light bulb moment, you might just be hoping that this answer to what to do next will suddenly just come from somewhere else. Typically, you might be hoping that someone else is just going to give you the answer so that you don't have to figure it out. Maybe you're hoping that someone in your network will reach out, an ex-colleague or someone that you know. Maybe you're hoping someone's going to just offer you a dream job, or your manager at work is going to have some sort of personality transplant and suddenly recognize all your hard work and offer you that dream promotion. Or maybe you're waiting for something external to happen, like your organization will restructure and you'll be offered a new and exciting role that's challenging but exciting. And look, I do get it. I get why this sounds appealing. Because if someone else is making these decisions and someone else is offering you an answer, it means that you don't have to spend any time sitting in confusion or not knowing or having to reflect and think, because that might feel uncomfortable. But the issue with waiting for someone in your network or current organization to rescue you is that they don't really know what you want or need in this next chapter of your life. How can they know if you don't even know yet? You might be mistakenly believing that this will be easier, but while it might mean that you don't have to do the thinking and spending energy figuring things out in the short term, this is not the easier route in the long term. This other person might just be offering you something based on where you've been in the past, what you've done before. But typically, you are where you are now wanting change because doing more of the same, doing what you've done before, hasn't been making you happy. If you accept an option from them, you'll be taking it as a way to escape where you've been. You're going to be grabbing onto the first life raft being thrown your way because your focus is just on escaping where you are now. However, it will be much more powerful if you can focus on where you actually want to get to. Where is your ultimate destination? Spend some time figuring that out, because that's going to be what helps you get there. Because otherwise, what can often happen is that you take that first escape route, but ultimately it's not where you really want or need to be. So a few months or even years later, you're back here again, trying to figure out why it doesn't fit and why that job doesn't make you happy. So why not just save yourself the time and focus now on figuring out what your personal criteria is for how you want and need to work and live in this next chapter. And I just want to touch on this other story that people tell themselves. Aside from expecting the answer to just happen without having to engage with it, I see lots of people who are telling themselves that they should already know what they want to do next in their career. You might be one of these people who is carrying around this huge weight of guilt around this, as if you've done something wrong and terrible because you don't know. You might be feeling really bad because you've never known what you wanted to do. Or you're now in midlife and you're telling yourself it's some sort of failing that you don't know at this age or stage. I should know at this point in my life is something I hear all the time, or I should know at this age, or I'm in my 40s, why don't I know by now? I should have figured this out. You might even be comparing yourself to a friend who knew at school what they wanted to do and then went and did it, or another friend who's always just known. But honestly, there really is no set blueprint for this. Why are we idolizing people who decided at the age of 16, 18, or 21 what they wanted to do with the rest of their lives? Why are we assuming that that makes them better or more virtuous in some way, and that for us, we failed because we haven't done that? You might be carrying an assumption that just because someone decided to do something in their late teens and then they knew that their life or their path has somehow been easier, and that just isn't always the case. What if you not knowing has led you to try new things that you never would have? What if it means that you've kept adapting and developing your skills? Does it really matter if you just fell into a job? Looking backwards and assuming that we should have done things differently is just not helpful. That's the crux of it, really, because it just doesn't change where you are now. And what if you're exactly where you're supposed to be? What if this opportunity to question what you really want and need now, at this stage of your life, is the best part? What if instead of feeling frustrated with yourself and wallowing in this unnecessary blame, you decide to channel that energy into figuring out your next move? I know people who decided at school that they wanted to be a doctor, and others who decided early on that they were going to follow a particular path. Are they happier than people who've been figuring it out along the way? Honestly, not really. And I've coached people who started their careers having a really clear idea of what they wanted to do. Maybe they took a vocational path as a teacher or a nurse, and now they want to change careers because it no longer works or because something's happened in their life. The reality is we're never going to know what's going to happen in our life because that's the nature of life. It throws up unexpected things. Industries change, jobs change, the world changes. And these people that started off with a vocational path, is it easier for them to try and change careers now because they once knew what they wanted to do? No, not really. For some, it might actually feel harder initially because they have to think about leaving an identity behind that they've clung to for so long. But I often speak to people who have never known what they want to do, and they're constantly beating themselves up about it, thinking that that is a failure that they've never known. But what if this makes you someone who's adaptable and changes according to what life's throwing at you or what's happening in your life? And honestly, when I see people who have things figured out and they know what they want to do, maybe they've always known, do I envy them? As someone that has changed careers multiple times, I can honestly say that I genuinely have never envied that. If someone has been sure and it's made them happy and they've been very content with that, lovely, good for them. But I love the fact that I've changed careers twice already. I love the fact that I feel that I've lived multiple different lives already. I always think about how much more interesting my life is because I've seen how things work in different industries. I've got experiences of different ways of working, and I've met so many different types of people. And that has given me a rich and varied life. And for me, that's important. So I want to urge you, if you've been blaming yourself and not knowing yet, to please let that go. There's no reason why you should already know. There's no reason why you'd be better, your life would be better if you already knew. Sometimes for people, the worst thing about not having things figured out yet is how much they blame themselves, how much they make themselves feel bad for not already knowing. So what if you let that go? Millions of people have no idea what they want to do with their lives, with their careers. And it's a myth that knowing automatically makes you happier or makes things easier. And when you're busy blaming yourself and you're busy telling yourself that you've got it wrong or there's something wrong with you for not knowing, do you know what you're typically not doing? You're not spending your time and energy going and figuring it out. Honestly, and I say this as someone that works with people looking to change careers every day, most people don't know. So when people come to me and say, oh, I really don't know, I just haven't known for years, or I've never known, am I a lost cause, am I beyond help? I always say to them, no, you are exactly where I expect you to be. And because I see it so often and I work with people who don't know so often, I can very confidently and honestly say, I know how to help you. There is a way forward for you. And look, you might even know people or have met people who've made a change in their life, and that's weighing on your mind. You're thinking, oh, but they seem so sure. They know what they want to go and do. They know what they're going to go and change to do now. But guess what? They probably didn't feel that way at the beginning. And you are probably comparing your beginning with the end of their process. So give yourself the time and space to figure it out without adding on the blame, because the blame is not going to help you at all. And the blame is probably the thing that's making you feel bad for no reason. It's unnecessary. So I guess today's podcast is really about acceptance rather than wishing things were different or that you were different. The answer to what you're going to do next is not likely to magically appear out of nowhere. And that's okay. That's good news, because you get to figure it out and you're going to feel so much better about yourself and your future plans when it's you that does that. A job offer coming out of nowhere that's going to rescue you, again, it's quite unlikely to happen. And the good news is you get to figure out what you really want and need. And if you still don't know what you want to do next, that's okay too, because you're exactly where you need to be, in the right place to start the process of figuring things out. You can take control, and when you do, you're going to design and create a working life for yourself that really fits what you need. And when you do, you're going to be so glad that it was you that did that. And it will give you a confidence in yourself that you will take with you into whatever role you do next. That's it for this week. Until next time, bye for now. And if you want to start making changes to your working life, come and talk to me. You can book a free consultation with me where we'll talk about your personal situation, what's really holding you back, and what you can do differently to start making changes. I'll let you know what type of career change coaching is going to help you, and you can ask me any questions about your personal situation or about my proven process, the Life First Career Method, a method that helps people like you change your career so that you can change your life. Just visit my website, danastevens.com. That's DANASTEVENS.com, and click on the link to book a consultation. Or you can find the link in the show notes. If you've enjoyed this podcast, make sure you get your weekly fix of inspiration and career change guidance by clicking follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you'd like to rate and review the podcast, that would really help me get this in front of people who also might be feeling stuck and lost. So I'd really appreciate your help. And if you know anyone, friends, family, even colleagues, who might be thinking about changing careers, please do share this podcast with them. You might just be the person that helps them change their lives for the better.